Hi everybody, another message off of GoFundMe. This is from Curtis. He has actually donated several times to my original campaign, so here we go. Hey Ollie, I was hoping you could share my story in one of your vids. I want to thank you and other survivors of narc abuse for sharing their stories online. The validation and healing that I have received is something I can never pay back. I woke up from the child abuse of my parents in 2013. I have instinctively known since about the age of 3 that there was something very wrong with my parents. The first memory of abuse goes back to the age of 3. And a lot of us realize that there's something wrong, but normally we think there's something wrong with us. But we know there's something wrong very early on. In 2013, I realized that I was changing, so I sought to understand the cause of these changes. It was the realization of the extreme self-centeredness of my biological family and an ex that led me to research narcissism. But it wasn't just narcissism that validated the abuse I endured. It was also psychopathy and sociopathy. From there, I learned I had the behavioral reactions that you see in someone that has been abused by parents with no conscience. And that's really, the heart of narcissism is these people have no conscience because they are machines like Terminators. They don't feel remorse or guilt or empathy or anything like that. These are people without conscience. It's a very good way to put it. Reactions as a child, teenager, and adult. I learned the scapegoat, golden child dynamic, which is prevalent in my biological family, plus all the manipulation tactics and pathological lying that we as survivors observe with our abusers. And boy, and that's how you know that the narcissist and the enablers know what they're doing. It's they're lying, and they're lying to protect the abuse so they could continue doing it. It is a purposeful thing when they lie, which when I say the difference between somebody with a chemical imbalance or somebody with a personality disorder. The personality disorder knows what they're doing. When they tell a lie, the lie is to protect the abuse. The lie is to protect who they really are, whereas somebody with a chemical imbalance or somebody who's psychotic, they're just telling things. They're saying things that aren't true. They believe them, but they're not true. They're not necessarily lies. I endured sexual, physical, emotional, and psychological abuse from both of my parents. I watched the golden child of the family develop her false self. I watched her mimic other people's personalities and literally become the person she was copying. I saw my mother bully my brother into a suicide attempt, and then in true narcissistic fashion, she blamed the suicide attempt on me in front of the entire family. No one said a thing. My brother's personality disappeared after this event. He turned into one of them. And there's two things in what you just wrote here. The first is I would say your sister's a narcissist, because narcissists are like chameleons, and this is how my mother is. My mother's personality will change and her tactics will change depending on who she's dealing with. So in order for her to fit in, she'll go from one extreme with one person to another extreme with another, whereas my mother will act like she's into the same thing. She'll take on the personality of the person while they're with them, and then with another person she'll take on that personality. Narcissists are a lot of times are chameleons as well. And as far as your brother's suicide attempt, anything bad, if you're the black sheep, anything bad that happens in the family or in the dynamic is going to be your fault. I was blamed from everything from my parents' marital problems to something breaking in the house. Somehow, some way, through 6 degrees of narcissistic separation, it was going to be my fault. Okay, because that is your role as the black sheep, and the scapegoat is to be the dumping ground of blame for everything and anything that happens. The main perpetrator of inappropriate touching, aka sexual abuse, was my mother. And as I've said, women are just as much can be just as much of a sexual abuser as men are, as my mother was. Same with the inappropriate touching, the lurking, the leering, the open doors in the bathroom, the lack of privacy. So, women, and it's hard when you're a male to have to admit that your mother is groping you and is being sexually aggressive towards you, because A, you think nobody's going to believe you, B, you're a man and you think, what the hell is wrong with me? But this happens. This is a common thing with narcissistic women. I remember as a teenager having a conversation in the car. The topic was about someone else. She didn't like that, so she turned the topic onto her by admitting to us that she used to kiss our genitals as babies. I've heard that several times. She smirked after telling us of this abuse, as it resulted in humiliation, which fed her narcissistic supply. And that's really what it's always about. You could see how pleased they are with themselves when they tell you something that they know is fucked up. They get that charge, it's like oxygen to them. It powers them. She would also sandbake naked, walk around naked, go to the toilet with the door open, and would leave her bedroom door open whenever she got changed. The sexual abuse was always done covertly. It was done in a way that was preempted, or in a way that could easily be defended by my biological parents as being innocent. It's not innocent. It's not innocent. I don't know who they would defend that to being innocent, because they're only doing it around you, and inside the family. My mother was the same way, walking around naked, doors open. My wife's mother used to eat dinner in revealing lingerie with her friggin' tits out, with her friggin' cooter out, right at the dinner table. And then the father and mother would talk about their sexual escapades at the dinner table in front of the children in Spanish, thinking that my wife didn't understand, acting like my wife didn't understand Spanish, knowing that she did, but doing it anyway. Everything fell into place during my awakening process. Compartmentalized memories of abuse started coming back. Memories that I had been stuffing down since 3 years old. Memories that could now be put into their correct context as abuse. The emotional pain from these memories is what put me into PTSD. Well, honestly, you always had the PTSD. The memories didn't. It was the abuse that did. You remembering it didn't give you the PTSD. You always had the PTSD. Okay, otherwise, you never would have dug out the memories unless you were suffering from PTSD already, because you knew something was wrong and you were already suffering internally. I later learned from my doctor that I showed strong signs of having a heart attack, and I was lucky not to have died from the stress. I understand that as well. I went through the shock exposure stage. I had no one to talk to and no way to vent. I had to get it out. I had to speak about it. So social media became my venting outlet. I didn't realize at the time this could be used against me by my abusers and their flying monkeys, but it was. Yeah, my parents try to use this against me as well, but it goes nowhere. Because as they hear my stories, they know it's what I'm saying is true, because people have witnessed it. They freak out when someone wakes up and speaks the truth of their mental condition and abuse. They responded the same way that other abuse survivors report. My parents lied pathologically and by omission to get the mental health industry, police, and courts onto me. As we know, narcopaths use children as leverage. They also understand that the words of women claiming abuse by men will be taken seriously by authorities. The court cases put on me were initiated by 2 women, with my coward little boy psychopath dad pulling the strings. The reasoning on the court documents was all pathological lying. Lying by omission and projection of what they were doing and had done to me. And narcissists love to try to get you thrown into a mental institution or get you arrested, which is why I moved to Florida. you know, because threats were put on me that, you know, of physical abuse was going, which never would have happened, never did happen. And, you know, that's why no contact is so important. Narcissists love to gang up and try to get you incarcerated, try to get you mentally incapacitated, and it just feeds their supply because it feeds them and makes them feel superior. So look how good I am. Their goal was to paint me as being mentally ill and to alienate my sons from me, who I had been raising for the past 10 years on my own. They legally kidnapped my youngest son using the legal system and started to brainwash him. My youngest son has since been returned into my care. Their plan failed. Every step of the way by the playbook, like you have said. My abusers have validated and proved that they are indeed narcissists and sociopathic, psychopathic, no conscience. Parents who deliberately, with calculation, abuse their children and then blame that child for the abuse. They are the scum of the earth. Narcs hate to be told about them. They spend their entire lives building up this false personality to hide the evil beneath that we use as abuse survivors to get to see on a first-hand basis. They portray themselves as being perfect parents in public, yet behind closed doors, we see their true nature, pure, unadulterated evil. To other abuse survivors listening to this video, be kind, be gentle, and have patience with yourself. The most important person in your life is you. Go no contact if you are able to, and with time, as Ali said, you will gain more and more clarity, and you will get better and better. Thanks again, Ali, for your videos and your hard work. Congrats on reaching your GoFundMe goal, and I look forward to donating to your new GoFundMe campaigns. Sincerely, Curtis. Well, the last few paragraphs of this speaks for itself about abuse survivors and going no contact and the clarity you'll gain. I mean, this is somebody who's lived it and gone through it. Somebody who's had his child, his children, turned against him, used against him, the court systems, the family court, the mental health industry, and he ended up winning. You know, he ended up winning because he got his child back. You know, he got his sons back. He's still taking care of his children. And you know, he's seen the light, and he wanted his story out there. And I'm telling you, you know, he never does. He doesn't. He's donated several times, and I know, I really am glad he contacted me, because, you know, they weren't very large. They're not large donations each time he donates, but it shows that he really believes in this channel. He believes in what's going on here because he's lived it. He's done it. You know, he understands the stories that come out on this channel and the comments that are read on channels, on my channel and channels like mine, and these stories that you guys keep sending me are real and they're true. And this is a truly good person, okay, who really, I think the intent of this is to let everybody know, okay, that you're not alone and that no contact, that you can beat these people. And you beat them by going no contact and keeping your wits about you and getting your story out there. And, you know, even if they try to use your story against you at first, usually the truth will win out in the end eventually, okay? Because the more of us that come forward and the more of us who speak out on this, the less power they're going to have over all these narcissistic abusers. So thank you very much, Curtis, for all your donations and for all your help. And thank you even more so for sharing your story with me, and even putting in your story a message to everybody else who watches my channel. I mean, that's very kind, and it's very telling about the type of person you are. So thank you again. I hope everyone else got something out of this. Let me know in the comments. Again, please support this channel so I can continue making more and more videos by donating to the GoFundMe link in the description box. And remember, if you make a donation and you want your story out there, you go right to the top of the list and you get a video made immediately where, you know, you get your story out there and I let you know what you think, what I think. So please click on the link, share it if you can in the description box. This is Ollie Matthews. I'll see you all again very shortly. Take care. Bye.